Put your shoes on outside. You don't got to put them on in here. Get out.
Frank Castle moment.
So I've seen like your content online.
Yeah.
And so like my question to you is like, what exactly is like, I've seen most of your podcasts with like women and everything. And my question is to you, like, what is like your goal? Like what is the message that you're trying to send to men, young men?
What is my message and my goal? So the question is, what is my message and my goal with the podcast?
To young men specifically.
To young men?
Yeah.
To get women back in the kitchen.
Get women back in the kitchen?
Yeah, to get women back in the kitchen, yeah. To have guys have the balls to finally stand up to women and say, you need to go back to the fucking kitchen.
All right. Do you think that's like productive as a whole? Like, do you think
to tell women to go back to the kitchen?
Do you think telling young men to tell young women to go back to the kitchen will work?
Yeah. Yeah, because, and I'll explain why. A guy that could tell a woman go back to the kitchen is a guy that's in his masculine frame. A guy that's in his masculine frame understands that he has duties and responsibilities to a family and to his woman. So by him telling her to go back to the kitchen, what he's doing is he's leveraging her greatest strength, which is making sandwiches, not making careers. So that's why I think men need to get the balls to tell women to go back to the kitchen.
What makes you think that women aren't capable of leading the same careers though as men?
What makes me think that women are capable of
aren't capable of leading the same careers as men?
Because they're inferior to us in almost every metric that matters. They're weaker, they're smaller, they're shorter, they're more susceptible to, they're more vulnerable. You know, they're just not equal to us in any way. Now, again, I want to be clear about this. This doesn't mean from an inherent human value. I would argue from a human value, actually, they hold more value because they incubate the next generation. But when it comes to practicality and performance, men are superior in every regard.
So then my question to you is, in the modern day, with like, you know, you mentioned these like physical differences between men and women, biological difference between men and women. In the modern day, how much of this, like, you know, women are shorter or weaker to men biologically, how much of that like materially matters in the workplace?
How much does a woman's biology and her physical inferiority matter in society?
Well, you mentioned women being like biologically weaker than men.
Yeah.
Right? But how much does that matter on a scale of like, if most jobs nowadays aren't hard labor, if most jobs are in the office, if most jobs are leading whatever it may be, corporate type jobs?
Yeah, no, I see your position, but that's what I mean when I say we've civilized the world so much and modernized it so much that like we forget like how inferior women really are, if we're going to be honest, right? With this, how much we've modernized society. Like we've made it where it's like, oh, you're a woman, you want to join the military? Cool, like just go ahead and come on in. Oh, you want to be a cop? Oh yeah, sure, just come on in because of equality, inclusivity. I think it's all good to be equal and egalitarian until you get hit with reality again. Right, and I want it where I think we need to, and this is why I agree with what Pete Hegseth did, where he, you know, brought back military standards, said, "Yo, women shouldn't be serving in certain positions." We need to stay lethal and stay powerful. We don't want to be in a position where it's like, "Oh, we get punched in the face," then we realize, "Oh, we weren't prepared." I think it's best to be prepared from the beginning. So, you know, inclusivity at the cost of productivity is a big problem.
But what is like the material productivity cost? Is there something that can be measured?
What?
Like, what is the true productivity cost of having?
Speak up, man, 'cause it's really,
is it?
Talking in the back
Okay,
and stuff
sorry.
like that and,
well,
go ahead.
Like, is there a measurable productivity loss in having women in the workplace?
Well, here's the thing. I think that the productivity measurement that we should be focusing on is, are we having kids? Are we having nuclear families? And what feminism has effectively done is it's come in and it's destroyed the nuclear family because women are more concerned with chasing a career versus chasing a family. And I think that's where a lot of problems happen.
I don't know. Like, I don't think that's entirely true. I think there's...
You don't think feminism contributed to the destruction of the nuclear family?
To the destruction of the I think the loss of the nuclear family as a family structure could be like, is derived from a lot more than just modern feminism. That could be...
Of course, there's going to be multiple factors, but I would argue feminism has been one of the key ingredients to the destruction of the family unit.
And then who's to say that women are, you know, they have to be confined to the structure of a nuclear family? Like, who says exactly that is the right path for women? And that we have
having a family?
I mean, not, but like, why can't they have a family later in their careers when they choose to?
Because by then they're too old and used up, unfortunately. Right? Like by the time a woman hits like in her 30s, most of her eggs are gone. You know, so it's going to be significantly harder for her to actually have children into her 30s. So like, you know, she should be trying to mate have children when she's younger.
I mean, there's still plenty of women now who are having children in their 30s and
sure,
whatnot.
but this is why we got more retards. This is why we got autism and all these other mental problems is because women are having kids later, kids come out retarded. You know what I mean? It's like it's ridiculous. So I think if we want to have an optimal, healthy society, women should be having children when they're at their optimal health. So in their 20s. Now just because women can have kids at 30 doesn't mean that we should allow that to happen because a lot of them have failed pregnancies as well.
Would you not say that completely excluding that part of the population from the workplace would actually be less productive as a whole for society?
Say that again?
Would you not argue that excluding women as a whole from the workplace would not really just be less productive for society as a whole?
Well, we would have to do it in segments, right? You can't just say, all right, all you guys back to the kitchen right now. We'd have to do it in waves. Like when you're getting on a plane and they say, all right, party 1 can get on now. Party 2, you guys can get on. We got to do it like in waves. All right, hot girls, you go back to the kitchen. Wait a little bit. All right, you mids, now you guys can go back to the kitchen. Then, wait a little bit more. All right, you fat hoes can go back to the kitchen, but you can't eat nothing. You know what I mean? Like, we just got to go it and we got to do it in like waves.
I mean, yeah, I disagree. I think, especially
with doing it in waves?
Well, that and the entire concept, but
you do agree that the fat women got to go last.
I didn't say that. But
okay.
I think especially with like modern reproductive methods like IVF and all these like different like ways that science has brought about having children, women don't have to be forced into having children early on at the cost of their careers.
Well, again, they could go ahead and sacrifice a family, but I think the problem here is that we don't educate women enough to tell them, like, look, if you want to pursue a career, fine, but understand that as you rise up the ranks and make more money and increase your status, your ability to formulate a family is going to be significantly harder because as women acquire resources, their standards go up. As their standards go up, fewer and fewer men can meet that standard.
Is it really? Do you really think that women have too high of standards though? Like, do you really?
Do I think that women have what?
Too high of standards? Do you sincerely
Absolutely
believe that?
Women's standards are way too high.
Way
too high.
Can you explain?
We got girls that are mids, wanting like a dude 6 foot plus, making $100,000 plus a year. And I would blame social media on that, and them being educated and having access to more resources.
I mean, I think there's definitely some social media has contributed, but I think that also applies to men in the same vein. I think a lot of men have also distorted reality on what they expect.
I would argue. So I see your perspective. If I took 100 men and I took 100 women and I asked the men to rank themselves of where they think they stand in the sexual marketplace, like what they would rate themselves, versus if I took 100 women and asked them where they rate themselves, the men would probably be closer to where they actually stand. So in other words, the guys would probably be more humble and rate themselves as 5, 6, 7, right, more average, versus a majority of the women are going to say I'm a 10. So there's a very stark contrast between how the genders see themselves in their value. Women tend to overestimate their sexual market value versus men tend to undervalue theirs.
So I understand what you're saying, but my question to you then is, do you not think that's a result of the patriarchy in some way? And that, so I'm a short man, and a lot.
Yeah, you're cooked. It's gonna be hard for you to get a chick.
Well, I have a girlfriend. I have a long-term girlfriend, and it's.
How long y'all been together?
About a year and a half now, and
you guys met in college?
No, in high school.
So as you guys age, if your status doesn't go up and you don't make more money, and she either comes close to you or surpasses you, your chances of staying in said relationship are going to drop off precipitously.
Okay,
and that's a hardcore reality because women are resource extractors. Women are, hypergamous.
Well, but from what I'm trying to say is that a lot of the things that I've gotten as a short man or as whatever have been primarily from men. And I think a lot of you rated men talking about rating them lower on the social ladder. Like if you asked a man where he places on the social ladder, he'd rank himself lower. Do you not think a lot of that is because it's standards imposed by men on men as well?
Yeah, and that's a good thing because we tend to operate in reality because of these standards. Women don't have that they don't have those standards. Like I was discussing this before, women don't understand the concept of hierarchy. And the reason why they don't understand the concept of hierarchy is because it's not required for them to mate. Right? So I'll start from the beginning. Everyone is put on earth to mate, right, and have children. For men, for us to have children and mate, we must rise up the ranks in the hierarchy to have sexual access to women. For women to mate, they don't have to rise up the hierarchy to have sexual access. So since they don't need to understand hierarchy to get sexual access, they just exist. and they're not aware of this stuff. But I'll explain it even better. In your situation, if your woman stayed the way that she is right now, you're never leaving her. But if you stay the way that you are right now, she's going to leave you. See the difference?
Can I say something to you? It's
because she's going to expect you to grow, right, and earn more money, increase your status, and be at least close to, or if not a breadwinner.
Well, that's something I expect of myself as well, is to grow in my career. That's something I expect of myself as well, to grow in my career.
But understand that she doesn't have to change, but you do, and that's precisely my point. Because men are fundamentally held to a hierarchy standard, whether they want to accept it or not.
Okay, I understand what you're saying in that vein specifically, but I mean, when I started dating her, I was jobless, I didn't have any money, and there was really no issue with that, and I picked up a job out of my own volition, and even to this day, it's never really been a point of contention, because I lost a job, and nothing changed. It was like, I don't know, I think like I'm not going to argue with you. I think there are shallow people in the world. I think there are shallow people, but I think shallow people can take the form in both men and women. I think there are tons of shallow men as well.
I would argue there's more shallow women than shallow men.
But why is that? Why do you like?
Because the things that women look for are tangible things that are there for their survival. Women, and they have to be this way, by the way. I'm not shitting on them for being this way, but they have to be shallow because women are the more vulnerable sex, and women are designed to extract resources from men, not the other way around. So this is why women inherently are more solipsistic, more narcissistic, and are more selective in the process because they're the more vulnerable sex.
Do you have any is that backed by anything?
I mean, it's backed. It's just biology. If you poll 100 women, they're gonna tell you, I want a guy that's 6 foot tall. I want a guy that makes 100 grand per year. I want a guy that goes to the gym. I want a guy that has XYZ. Now, every woman is gonna have different variations of this, right? Different standards within these metrics, but the bottom line is always the same. They want a man better than them.
So then, but I think, how can you apply these old, biological takes from, very much more primal times in human history? I don't think they exactly, fit in and slot in perfectly to the 21st century. I don't think they exactly.
Yeah, and this is why I say modernity does not change the hindbrain, right? Like, it allows us to maybe, right, with technology and all the, human achievements we have, it allows us to kind of not operate in reality when we, don't have to, but the ugly reality is that we're always going to, regress back to our instincts. And you can find this in what women find attractive. Like, the things that the attraction triggers are primal. They're built into you, right? Men, what do we look for? Young girl, hot, big tits, nice ass, good shape, etc. This is what men typically look for. What do women look for? Tall, strong, competent, healthy genes, right? So we're looking for replication value of, we want to have good-looking kids with a good-looking woman. Women look on survival value. Can this guy protect me? And this is just how it's baked in.
So then my question to you is then, how do you explain the epidemic of chopped men with tons of girlfriends that are hotter than them?
Because they have status. They're doing something right. Whenever I see a man with a girl that's out of his league, I know for a fact he either has money, status, he has game. He's doing something right if he's dating a girl out of his league.
But is that not, that makes sense, right? I think if a man has game, if he has a personality.
But the point is that he's got to work for that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Men have to work to get women. Women don't have to work to get men. Women have to work to keep men. Big difference.
I think maybe very highly attractive women, but I don't know if that same standard applies to just average looking women or below average women even.
Average looking women have access to celebrities. This is why they're insufferable. Average looking women are delusional and have high standards because they have access to higher status men. Because men don't care about hierarchy. A regular girl from this school, can DM a celebrity and probably get a response. Versus if an average guy here, DM'd a celebrity female, DM Rihanna, she ain't looking. She don't give a fuck. Right? Do
you think Rihanna's a fair comparison?
I'm using the example of, if a regular guy messages a female celebrity, he's invisible. But if a regular girl messages a celebrity, he's gonna more than likely respond.
Part of that is just male desperation.
Male desperation?
Do you not think that's a part of it? It's just men just being easy.
Well, that speaks to the inherent biology we discussed earlier. Women fuck who they want, men fuck who they can, even if they have the status to fuck who they want.
All right, well, that's my time. I have to go to class, so.
No worries, man.
All right, appreciate talking to you.
No worries, bro. All right, anyone else?